So here's my motor, all ready to be run in. This is the slave, which I run the power through, which is the Fly long shaft motor with the spring to connect to the motor I want to run in. The advantage of not powering this motor is there'll be no sparks going through where the commutator and the brushes rub. So you'll get no pitting on the commutator, which means you'll have a smoother surface, which will give you better power. So let's show how it's in action. You may need to oil, not only the one you're going to run in, but the slave as well, just to keep things lubricated. Don't over oil them, but just see how you go, and the time will depend on what motor as to how hard the brushes are to how long you need to run it in for. One other important factor for when you run in a motor is you need to know which way it's going to go. So a NSR pod tends to run in a anti-clockwise direction, and a slotted pod tends to run in a clockwise direction. So you need to run your motor in the direction as to which it's going to go. I never run my motors the opposite direction, because once the brush forms a shape around the commutator, it creates a really fine edge. And if you go the opposite direction, what could happen is you could chip it, and then you'll lose a drastic amount of power. The other reason for doing this is I run them on 3 volts on a slow voltage, so there's less vibration, less bouncing, and they tend to run in smoother. But again, try what works best for you. This is what works best for me. So here is a brand new NSR 25 King motor. It should rev around 25 to 26,000, brand new, straight out of the packet. And what we'll do is we'll give it a test and see what it does on 12 volts. And then I'll run it in for two and a half hours and on 3 volts, and we'll see what kind of revs it picks up then. $26,600. That's not too bad. But now what we'll do is we'll run it in with the slave motor, and we'll see what it does at the end of that. Now the 2-hour time of running the motor in is up. I used the slave to run it in with. So now I've connected it to the power for the first time, and we're going to test and see what kind of revs we can get now. Again, it's going to be on 12 volts. Let's see what we get. Okay, that's a fairly decent improvement.